Hey folks, and welcome to the Deconstructor of Fun podcast. I'm your host, Mishka Ketkov, and in this episode, we're going to talk about solopreneurship. Now, I find this topic incredibly relevant to all the resizing that companies are making, and resizing meaning a lot of layoffs. And I think in this year, we'll be having even more layoffs than we had, unfortunately, last year. Now, from the perspective of the folks that were laid off, they're probably thinking about becoming a consultant. And that is an interesting job because it is flexible. It can be very lucrative depending on your skill set. But most importantly, it is the type of a job that makes you independent. And then from companies' perspective, as they're becoming more cost efficient, using contractors, consultants is flexible. It is many times more cost efficient than using full-time employees. So to discuss these topics, my guest today is Matej Lančaric, a well-known user acquisition and marketing consultant with over a decade of experience of launching, scaling, and marketing games. And he's here on this podcast to share his incredible journey as a solopreneur, from working as an employee in many of the Eastern European mobile publishers to starting his own thriving solopreneur business that generated 1.5 million euros in revenue last year with a healthy 50% profit margin. So in this podcast, Matej and I will be discussing and diving really deeper into his insights on balancing work and personal life, because being a solopreneur or entrepreneur can be very all-consuming. We're going to talk about the importance of efficiency and focus, because when you're in charge of your own work, you're in charge of your own schedule, there's nobody telling you what to do, and that could be challenging for folks not accustomed to that. And we're going to talk about how to build a reliable support team, because even if you're a solopreneur, quite often you're using subcontractors and partners, so that is an important part of the job. Now, whether you are a seasoned solopreneur or just starting out, I think this episode is packed with valuable advice and inspiration. I learned a ton, and I think you will too. So without further ado, let's get started. Our friends at AppsFlyer have something really interesting to share. They released the State of Ad Creatives in App Marketing 2024 report together with TikTok and SciPlay. And as you all know, in the fast-paced world of mobile apps, understanding consumer engagement with ads is crucial. AppsFlyer's latest report reveals that a tiny 2% of ad variations captures a massive 68% of ad spend, showing the importance of finding that winning ad. For gaming apps, longer video ads on social media boost retention, while authentic user-generated content performs the best. Hyper-casual games lead in downloads, but there's an interesting twist, and then there's all the insights about using AI in your ad creatives. All of this and more in the latest State of the Ad Creatives in App Marketing report by AppsFlyer. Access the report by link in the description or going to appsflyer.com, then go to resources, then go to reports. It's just easier to click on the link below. Anyhow, check out the awesome report by AppsFlyer, and let's get back to the episode. Matej Lančaric, welcome to the podcast.
Nice.
Is this first time?
No, I was on Tweak before. We had this interesting discussion with Eric Suford about hyper-casual stuff and whatever else. And I think
But it's a first deep dive.
I was interviewed by JK actually a long time ago about creatives, but yeah, like this is the first time I'm actually on.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do a proper deep dive. So for folks who don't know,
it's not gonna be UA.
there's gonna be zero UA in this one. So anybody who wants UA,
sorry guys,
get out.
Yeah.
Matej Lančaric, you are UA and marketing consultant for the past decade, a successful one. You've posted openly your increase of revenue. You're representing the Slovakia's second fastest growing tech company. I'm not going to insult Slovakia and Slovakian tech companies.
Yeah.
But it is a small pond. Let's put it that way.
It is a very small pond. It's like 1,300 people in gaming in Slovakia, which is, I have more subscribers in my newsletter.
Yeah, but nevertheless, in the last calendar year, you made 1.5 million with 50% EBITDA, which is nothing to sneeze on for a person coming in from Slovakia running marketing globally. So it is a truly feat. Your podcast, where you're a co-host with Jakub and Felix, the beautiful Viking, called 2.5 Gamers, is doing great. It's big. It's traveling. We've gotten a lot of ideas. Like when you record it outside, like when you go into events, I'm like, that's a good idea. I should be doing that too. Trying not to copy, but getting inspired, and it's been
Heavily
definitely
inspired?
Inspiration.
Very cool. Yeah,
It's
good.
It's just inspired.
Thanks.
It's a good stuff. So whenever you see good stuff, you need to be inspired by good stuff
course.
being done. So definitely that. And then before your consulting journey, you led marketing at companies like Boombeat, Superscale, and Pixel Federation. So Eastern European powerhouses.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
But
that's basically it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, and most importantly, you're a dad, and
Yeah.
I'm saying most importantly because you had this amazing blog post called "The Journey of a Solopreneur: Finding Success in Being Yourself." This is the ChatGPT title.
Obviously.
Obviously. But despite the ChatGPT title, everything that was written was all you. It was very much from the heart. And if folks haven't read this blog post, I recommend it. It's going to be in the links, in the link below. So do check it out. But there you really talk about the journey in the most raw, authentic way, which makes it a very fun read.
A very long one as well.
Well, it's a fun and a long one read, but it is entertaining, which is the most important part. And a lot of people are being laid off. There's never been more consultants than there is today. Everybody's a consultant. So now we're not going to talk about consultants. We're going to talk about solopreneurship. We're going to talk about your journey, your learnings, what you can share with the audience. But we're going to start with something that is the easiest question, like a warm-up, a stretch-out. People always ask about what is your typical day.
Jeez. Yeah.
And so I'm not going to ask what's your typical day. I'm going to ask what did you do yesterday?
Yeah, I was like, I was reading the question, like, what is your typical day? I was like, fucking hell, like, is this the great opening question? Like, oh my God, you could do better. But yeah, what did I do yesterday? It's a good one because my Tuesdays are always packed, meaning I don't want to go like, why wake up, blah, blah, blah. But I kind of work. I started working again with the Pixel Federation guys here in Slovakia. So I actually drive to their office. I spend time there. Then I drive back. I have a few calls. And then I'm kind of spending the whole Tuesday or the Tuesday afternoon with my daughter. So I take her and go to play Wisely, which is like an activity for children. So I'm there, and then I go back. I have one quick call, and then I just until the late afternoon, I'm spending time with my daughter. And then after she goes to sleep, I either on Tuesday write or do some work, and then I just go to sleep as well. That's kind of the Tuesday. Let's call it that way.
Okay, so you have certain set schedules for different days.
Oh yeah, I have. I mean, I don't want to say I have to, but I kind of do because I have a lot of things that I do on a daily basis, and I usually have Tuesday, this is the set day. If I want to do something on Tuesday, most probably no. On Thursday, I also have like a long day in terms of the weekly calls in general. And then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I try to have a little bit more flexibility because yes, I also want to, do deep work as well. But then, for example, on Monday evening, I usually write my newsletter. It's always like this is the set, 2 hours in the evening, I just write newsletter. Wednesday, I usually write articles because that's kind of keeps me going and, it's a relaxing thing. On Friday, Friday. What can you do on Friday? Nobody wants to work, so I do kind of like a deep work on Friday because there's no calls usually. Because everybody's oh my God, it's Friday. I don't want to work anymore. How it goes.
Friday, work from home Friday, a.k.a. day off.
A.k.a. Well, I work from my daughter's room, so, all the toys, everything.
There's no day off. There's no day off for solopreneurs.
Yeah,
but I meant for the people, the employees.
Yeah, the employees. That's true.
That's a very important thing that you mentioned is that because you have many clients and you have also your media business, you are setting different. So your schedule is based on a week, and you're keeping it set so your brain is ready. You're not coming to a table and like, okay, should I write? Should I go through emails with the clients? Should I see what's going on in my creatives and the UA campaign? Like, what should I be doing? But everything is set like a sports schedule. Monday is a leg day. Tuesday is arms and whatever, abs.
whatever. Yeah.
Wednesday is cardio. So.
No, it's very important, because then people ask you like, okay, well, it's so many things that how can you even do it? Like this is the way. We usually record on Friday our podcast. If that schedule moves to, let's say, Saturday or Sunday, then my all post-production kind of also activity moves to, let's say, Monday, and then my whole schedule is fucked basically, and I need to find these places here and there just to fit the schedule somewhere else. That's why like these different days and just kind of time slots are flexible on Wednesday or Monday a little bit, so I can then if something moves, then I can do it in that.
You've heard of Heroic Labs by now, and we keep talking about them because in today's mature market, you need every edge to be successful. Rather than spending those precious company dollars on building game tech, focus on building your game and shipping it. Get into your players' hands faster and grow your community. Heroic Labs is battle-tested partner and friend of the podcast. Their tech enables you to be flexible, creative, and scale for success. Heroic Labs has your tech stack covered. Whether you're looking for a world-class back-end game server, an amazing game development framework, fantastic live ops tooling, or reliable mass scalability, Heroic Labs has solutions for all of these challenges. And it's not just us at Deconstructor of Fun praising Heroic Labs. The company works with some of the world's biggest publishers on many of the beloved games. Focus on your game, save a big chunk of cheese, and avoid tech risks with Heroic Labs. How many hours a week do you work?
Does post-production preparation for podcast and writing articles and blogging and newsletter count as work? Yes. In that case, I would say it's a full week as normal people do at work, but I don't count that as a work, because I really, when I write, it is connected to work, but it's more me time. It's more me time. So
I'm going to quote you. Going solo and juggling clients, writing articles, podcasting, and parenting, it's a piece of cake. Some folks, Netflix and chill. I blog and create to recharge my brain batteries.
Yeah, pretty much.
But nevertheless, do you get paid from newsletters and media?
We had sponsors. We now have one, and I have a paid subscribers kind of section on
so
my
that's work.
newsletter.
That counts at work. That's it.
But that's one per month, kind of. But yeah, I mean that counts as work. My weekly newsletter doesn't, because that's not paid. There's nothing paid basically.
Yeah,
so
but it's marketing then. It's marketing of your work. So
but there's the thing. Like, in my opinion, there's no work versus life. It's only one or the other. Or it's just kind of like a life. That's it. I mean, that's why I don't count these as work. Maybe I should, but who tells me what should I do or shouldn't? That's that's the beauty part.
I 100% agree, and I have exactly the same mindset, because we're enjoying the content creation part. We're doing it not for the clicks, for the sponsors, for everything. It's a way for us to think by writing or think by going on a podcast. But for everybody else, and I think this is kind of like the separation between entrepreneurs and employees, anything that you do that is not your sort of a fuck off time of Netflixing or doing sports or spending time with your family, because you writing is away from you, the time you're spending with your daughter and your wife. So they must consider you're working, even though you're like, oh, I'm just chilling. so those are the type of things, and kind of like my question regarding that is like, how do you balance, if not work life, then work and relationships as a solopreneur, and can you maintain that healthy balance between the time that you're spending with your family, with your friends, doing other things that are directly related to your work?
Yeah, I usually don't work on at full capacity, because that's if I did that, there's no kind of spending time with my family or anyone else, or just doing anything outside of work. So I try to do that, and first, like, family comes first always. So that's like the main priority. I mean, that kind of can sound like I don't work at all, but like, family first, daughter first, health first. So yeah, I do go to the gym, run, all the other activities, so my brain stays healthy, and then I work. Sometimes, sometimes, but in the between. So in the between. So that's the balance. That's the balance. And then I kind of, when I was younger, obviously, and I was fully employed, I was like, oh my God, yeah, of course, I worked like 10 hours per day, sometimes 8, sometimes 12, because it was a lot. And I couldn't really manage the time properly, because I believe you can't work more than 6 hours per day with full focus. Everything above that is just like, you're not efficient enough. You're just not efficient enough.
Yeah, I would say you can work more than that, but you're not going to be efficient the next day.
Yeah.
Because we've crunched, and there have been moments where you go hard, and let's say there's a client deadline, even that you're until midnight, making the final deck, but the next day you're just depleted, and so it eats away from the overall.
There's the deadline. It's your decision to work until the very last minute of the deadline. So. Yeah.
Well, sometimes, let's just say, so even solopreneurs have teams or people who they work with. And sometimes, whenever you have a team member that doesn't deliver, the buck stops at you. So, so if something is not good enough, you are the one that's responsible for the end result. And then you sit an all-nighter and make sure that it is according to the quality.
Yeah, that's why you have a buffer. So you have a buffer, so if something goes wrong, you're fucked. And then but you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right, because I'm the last one. But like, look, so there is the creative team that I have, obviously, that produce creatives, because I can't do it. No, like, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I can't make videos.
Yeah, so there's AI is coming.
Yeah, I use quite a lot of AI.
Yeah.
Anyway, so obviously they work on the creatives, and I'm responsible for the quality and everything. But I have this team that I trust, that I kind of built over the years, that I don't even control the quality, because the bar is so high. Like, every time there's something is coming from the production, like, it's ready to go to the company I work with. And that's kind of, that was built over the years, obviously. So now I don't need to, or it's like, kind of, like, if something goes wrong, it's on my head, but I trust in fully that the outcome is great, that I can ship it already.
Yeah. So the important notion from that is, for anybody going on this path, is despite being a solopreneur, you still quite often have to have a team.
I think you need help, and also we discussed this with Sam from Less More on our podcast, and he said there are like 20 people in the company. I was like, okay, so how do you manage things? Like, we work with a lot of external partners. Like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So yes, of course, like, I do work with a lot of AI stuff that I don't need anyone else, which is amazing help. But yes, with creatives and all of the other stuff, yes, that's 100%. Like,
yeah, and even like repetitive work, or not repetitive, but certain work that is not your wheelhouse when it comes to editing. Sometimes we use editors. I do all the post production by myself. Come on. Yeah, well, I think I think it's an incredibly expensive post production that you're doing based on your hourly price. So just
that's true, but this is. I mean, we had this discussion a million times before. We could have outsourced it, and I could do it. I mean, my creative team could do it. Anyone from the team. I just don't want to them to do this, because it's something that these skills I wanted to learn, so I want to work on that. And these are like these different bits and pieces that I can just add into the post-production that they couldn't, or like all this fun stuff. And it's kind of still my baby, and I know it's absolutely selfish, and we could do it better, and we could maybe grow a little bit even faster than what we are doing at the moment. I still want to do it because it's a little very good learning experience for me. And also the time management and everything, it kind of fits my schedule. And with the help of AI, I was able to reduce the post-production time heavily. So yeah, I mean, it's not bad. But yeah, it's
you do it because you want to do it, and that's.
I love it.
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly.
I love
so
it.
there's a difference. It's not efficient. You should be using somebody, but you do it because you want to do it, and you understand the
100%.
trade-offs. I wanted to ask you about this thing of going offline. So a lot of the things that you write in your essay or self-revelation or however you want to put it, a blog post, is that you like to be thinking about work all the time. Like even in this conversation, you're not associating writing a newsletter piece as work.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'd ask you your wife, you'd be like, he's right there working. so what do you think about this notion of offline? Because I've got messages from you when you were in Maldives all the time. And you're portraying like you're this, I'm like fucking offline. I'm just like, this is my drink. But you're doing work messages out of there. So talk to me about going offline and why can't you go offline?
It was so good because I was the last time I was at Maldives. I just published this hybrid casual UA paid newsletter, and I remember you in the DLF Slack channel, like, oh my god, if you are doing this on your holidays, like I can't even imagine like what are you doing in the normal work day. I mean. yes, that's true. But the thing is, like, we just came there. Everybody went to sleep already. I was like, okay, I can't go to sleep because I'm not tired. It's like, okay, let's just do this. And I just like did it in 3 hours suddenly, and then there was the blog post and ready to go live. Thing is, and I was just listening to other podcasts, which is called Smartless, and also these guys, these are actors, and they were talking about how back in the days when you didn't have like a cell phone or anything, and you were just staring at the wall, like you're bored, right? It's like, okay, and then kind of sparks creativity. This is what's happening in my head when I'm lying on the beach. Okay, I'm lying on the beach, kind of relaxing. I'm still lying, but physically lying on the beach. But then my brain is still working and thinking about, okay, what can I do better? What can I do this way? How can I use maybe some idea? And then like that's happening. And I can't turn it off. I don't want to turn it off because it kind of recharges the whole kind of energy, and it motivates me even more to just, get back. And it's like, oh my God, I have such a good idea here. So like Felix called me idea machine. Like I should go on holidays more because I was just writing all the ideas into our 2.5 Gamers chat. And I was like, oh my God, this is great. And some of these ideas are just now live on the podcast, and it's doing really, really good. So that's how I kind of go offline.
Give me an example.
Well, so we have these live review episodes. We had Mika Honen, we had Sam from Less More. So we talk about the game and the product deep dive that we started doing last year. And now it's like, oh my God, you know what? We have friends that can come on the podcast.
You call it product deep dive?
No, we don't.
Okay, because we call it product deep dive. I'm like, did we call it accidentally by the same name as?
No.
Okay, good.
Let's call it game reviews. Whatever.
Okay, got it. It doesn't matter. I was just like, did we steal it by an accident?
No. And I was like, like we should invite these guys. So we talk about the game, we review the game, and they can actually, say, oh, you're right or you're wrong because you only have external data. This is our own data, and those episodes are doing amazing. So yeah, I mean, why not?
That makes sense. Have you always been like that, or did this happen 10 years ago when you essentially went to like when you started this consulting business? Are you already running it as you were working full time, and then you kind of transition, which is the best way to transition to solopreneur, is first lay out the foundation. Don't get laid off and then become a consultant.
Yeah,
that is a good way.
Yeah, I was fired. Now I'm a consultant. Like, I'm not sure that's how it works.
It's more like you have a job and you create another job, and you see more pull, more interest that this next job, you're switching jobs, going somewhere where you're even more productive. Like that's the semantics. But my question is, have you always been like that? When you were working just as I'm not going to say just, when you were only an employee, were you still like this, or were you just kind of kicking it?
I think I think I wasn't like this always, but when I started going on like attending these conferences and I was looking at all these talks, which is vague as fuck, and like, oh my God, nobody's sharing anything like this universal truth. I was just sitting there, come on, guys. I was like, you know what? I could stand there and just talk about something else, and it could be just, valuable. So I started thinking right there, like, oh my God, okay, what can I do better? How can I do it this way or that way and show actually numbers? So I think it was around the time when I was an employee, but then I started doing these talks, articles, and blogs, and yeah, like you said, like there was an interest in that because people are like, oh my God, like he's actually sharing numbers. We ever see that before? I was like, okay, interesting. So I think that was at that time, and then that kind of sparked all this like creativity and all of this, like, oh my God, okay, like we can do this, or I can do this.
So it really kind of, okay, that's a good notion, because what I'm trying to understand is, or when people are listening to this, like, do you have to be like are you acting as an entrepreneur before you're an entrepreneur, or does that get enforced when you become an entrepreneur?
Okay, then we need to take a step back, because I mean, before we started recording, you mentioned Gentleman's, right? So that's my company's name, which is a terrible name, but in gaming world. But then when I started just working in an online marketing, there was my friend who started this Gentleman's company, and it was an e-commerce brand. And we had all these like bow ties, bracelets, notebooks, backpacks, all like these different things. So we were selling that. And I was like, it was my company, so I was running all the UA, all the search engine optimization, everything. So we kind of spent the money, and we really had to get the money back, because, I mean, it was... well, I can't call it bootstrap, because it wasn't even bootstrap. It was like some money that we had saved from I don't know, like teenage years, whatever. So I spent $5,000 and I had to get the $5,000 back. So it was kind of already like this mindset of spending and getting the money back, because if I don't get the money back, then, well, the company just goes away immediately. So at that time, I kind of started doing these like entrepreneur kind of stuff and translated that to the UA at Pixel Federation and then the companies afterwards, because that kind of taught me that I really need to pay attention where I spend the money, how I spend the money, and if and when I get the money back. That was really important. So that was even before going to like the gaming industry. And then we sold the brand, and then the company stayed. But I mean, it was a very small amount of money. But still, very good learning experience.
But you would still say that only once you take the responsibility of an entrepreneur, you become more entrepreneur minded?
I think you need to have it inside of you in some way. But it's still, I think you can still learn the ropes and learn as you go. You just need to start, because you still need to have it inside maybe a little bit as a seed. But as soon as you go and just really do it properly, that's when you just start to understand like the whole, like how complex it is and what you need to do and how you kind of need to count on yourself, because there's nobody else that will do your job, only you. What
type of a person is fit or good fit at being a consultant, in your opinion?
Crazy enough.
Crazy
Why? Enough. No, because it's an emotional roller coaster. I mean, we always talk about how great it is, all the flexibility, I posted the numbers, everybody's like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm just going to be a consultant now. I'm going to make a lot of money. It's not really. Not really. It's really hard. You always get these like different messages from the companies like, yeah, we want to work with you, and then they disappear for 4 months, and it's like, oh, okay, and then they come back like, okay, let's start work together, and then after 1 month, oh, you know what, we just found someone else who's like 50% cheaper than you. He's gonna do everything. I was like, okay, good for you. It's like all these that's all these things, and it's really hard. And I still don't believe in, let's say, a minimum length of the contract. So I have like 1 month only. So that's kind of partly on me. But I'm always being very transparent and honest. And that's why kind of these roller coasters happen all the time. So it's very uncertain. People are usually very happy about being certain, like full-time job. that's why they choose full-time job, because it's kind of, you can, well, even these days you can't be very sure that you will still won't be laid off. That's very true. But at least it's a little bit more comfortable to be in the like full-time employee rather than just a consultant that needs to, sign the clients or sign the companies, do actual work. It's not only that, you do all the admin stuff, accounting and stuff like that, So it's not easy. That's what I would try to
So
say.
as a consultant, I think you put it this way, you're getting fired and hired every month.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that is the
Multiple
emotional
times, yeah.
roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly. Because then, you work with like one company for 2 years, and then they get acquired, and then you get a call on like Christmas Eve, like, hey, so we're terminating the contract. What? Yeah, I can't say anything about it, but from this point over, like it's terminated. It's like, thank you very much for calling me on a fucking Christmas Eve.
You had Christmas Eve call where your contract was terminated?
Yeah. So it was quite unpleasant, but I mean, that's what you do. I mean, that's the emotions.
That's why you have contractors, because they can be let go at any point.
Exactly. That's like this first. Okay, so we need to lay off people. Oh, wait a second. We have a few contractors. Bye, guys.
Yeah, immediate cost saving.
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of a person do you think would fail at being a consultant?
Ooh, a slow, lazy person. I mean, that are not like flexible enough, because everything is changing in gaming especially. And if you are working as a consultant, it's like on steroids. Like everything changes immediately. Everybody wants to do everything right now, which I found out it's not very true. Like everything can wait. But I was like, oh my God, we need to do this now, immediately. It's like, and if you're not, agile enough or flexible enough, then you will fail, because you can't adapt to like new circumstances that is kind of changing every day. But then, what else?
Slow and lazy is kind of lazy answer. Let's go deeper.
I know.
Like slow and lazy is going to be challenged at most of the jobs except big corporations. I think they will thrive in those type of jobs where you're not causing any kind of a harm or pushing anybody. You'll just like managing.
Okay. I think.
But let's say if somebody is like a good professional, let's put it this way: somebody gets laid off in marketing from Riot. Boom, big name, big projects. 5 years at Riot. Tell me a positive version of that person being a good consultant, and tell me what kind of a characteristics would make that person a weak consultant.
I'm not sure if like it's a good or weak, but so the thing is, like, what did you do with Riot? Right? It's like, and what kind of consultant you want to be? It's like UA consultant. Most probably you will fail miserably.
Yeah.
Then like with marketing consultant, what does that even mean? Like brand? Maybe. I have no idea. Like you can just talk about, oh my God, I was at Riot, blah blah blah. You actually need to do the work, and not only like just talk. Maybe just if you have the experience from like I don't know, we just launched TFT, and I was that person responsible for that launch. I did A, B, C, D, all the strategy. This person definitely, I think, can do well.
You're talking about Jen?
No, I'm not.
She's exactly that person.
Okay. I just made this up. But then, if someone was on the team, is like us on the sidelines, then I'm kind of riding the wave of being in that team. I'm not sure if I could. Yeah, if that person could do anything, just like talk, and that would be just a very weak consultant. And then you always see these, like I was laid off from the job, I'm going to be a consultant. And then in 4 or 6 months, oh, you know what? I just joined this company. It's like, yeah, guys, this is like how I kind of would say this is like a weak consultant, because you can't do it. It's a lot of stress.
So more experience from sort of a trenches. So preferably worked at a compactor company, or where the teams are more compact, even in a larger company, where you were doing something that is that other companies can learn from? Because when it comes to hiring a consultant, if somebody hires somebody for, let's say, Riot or Blizzard as an example, if they haven't been doing those things, they have been doing them with either a larger team or external service provider, and they would say, oh, this marketing campaign, I have all the contact information. Like, they're based out of New York. This film cost $3.5 million.
Yeah, exactly.
The creative was $1 million. Then we can totally do it. I can help you out, guys.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. But like you said it right. Like, you need to be in the trenches, because then and you can help with the companies with whatever they're facing, the issues they're facing. Because if you're not in the trenches, then you just that's it. That's basically it. And the companies will find out quite quickly. Like, if you don't add any value, then it's like, you know what? Thank you very much. Bye.
Yeah,
that's it. That's the end. That's the end.
Step into the future of game monetization with Xsola. Xsola empowers developers and publishers to market, sell, connect, and optimize their games globally. From payment solution to a full suite of tools designed to grow your game's revenue while fostering a loyal player base. Xsola is your game's gateway to worldwide success. With Xsola, the world is your playground. Visit xsola.com today and find all the solutions that will help you to power your games into success everywhere. What that's an interesting point. I'm going to return to that. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced when transitioning from being an employee to being a solopreneur?
Well, I think the fact that I'm terrible at sales, honestly, I can't do sales. I can't do like outreach or whatever, like these like cold emails.
I think that's bullshit, because you have a media channel. You have literally your own marketing channel.
True, but it's not like the traditional sales, like like a salesperson. Like, I need to go and sign these. Come on.
You have much more stronger thing than a traditional, like, cold calling never worked.
Yeah,
you have literally a
I was at companies. But now yes. But then before that we can go back like 8 years. I didn't have channel. I didn't have anything basically. So and that's like, okay, so how do you now kind of sign companies and work with the companies? Like, that was like, at that time I was like, oh my god, like, guys, I can't do this. So that's why I kind of created this like talks, presentations, articles, channels afterwards. Because I'm more comfortable just writing, and like I said, like, it's kind of relaxed for me. Then I'm just just going to talk to people like, hey, hire me, because I know I do my job well. Like,
I can improve your ROAS by 32%.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm terrible at that. But I guess I'm good at like creating content, and like we have this media thing. Yeah, now yes. It was a journey also. Not easy.
Got it. And talking about the clients, because you said like, if client doesn't get immediate value from you, they will terminate the contract, of course.
Yeah, easy as that.
Sometimes it is very hard to give value to clients, because the client might be the bottleneck for you being able to deliver value. That has happened. Unfortunately. So
multiple
talk to me
times.
Yes. So talk to me about what makes a good client and what makes a difficult client, in the sense of not like, oh, they have an annoying point of like, nothing personal, but more like the organization, the way the relationship is being set up so that you can deliver the value, the work that you need to do.
Yeah. For me, it's always more like I work with small to mid-sized companies, because when I work with big companies, like there are some exceptions that I work with Vuga and Colibri before, when I just had like a small role and working alongside the team. But then there were other companies, mainly from the US, that the big companies, they always fear that I'm there, or the UA managers fear that I'm there to steal their jobs. And it went absolutely political, and I was like, I don't have time for this. So that's nothing personal. It's just like, that's how the companies are structured and built. So that's why I prefer small to mid-sized companies, where it's really quick. I can just onboard myself in a week and just start working on it. Now I have also one company kind of back and forth emails for like 2 months, which is not a big company, but a publicly traded company. So all the paperwork and all the stuff, it's really tiring. It's 2 months from the first contact, and we still, in these 2 months, I would deliver like reviews, audits, campaigns, creatives, like so many things, and like we didn't do anything. So now I'm at the point like, okay, well, if we don't kind of sign this week, then I can't do it anymore because I don't have time. I wouldn't have time for it. So that's why small, mid-sized companies, it doesn't really matter to me if there is a team internal or there isn't a internal UA team, because I still love to get my hands dirty and I can actually manage the campaigns by myself. If there is an internal team, I kind of do these like strategy overviews and strategic advisory, mentoring the team and this type of stuff, which is, you can see the value immediately.
Mm-hmm. That makes total sense. And what is the type of, like, what's the difficult type of a company? So difficult would be for you just a slow moving,
and also the company that requires
internal politics.
It's obviously, but then the company that requires me to just check in on an everyday basis. Like, hey, so this is what we're gonna do, like this today. Blah, blah, blah. It feels more like when they treat me as an like full-time employee, because I work in very different times during the day. Like I said, in the morning, in the evening, during the day, whatever. So I don't usually respond in a second, which can put some people in a very difficult position because they are used to get response immediately because of their, full-time employees. Like, oh my God, you didn't reply for 4 hours. Like, yeah, well, I said, look, I said I will allocate, let's say, 10 hours per week, and not like I can't check every day. We have a weekly call. I write you every other day. We have the communication going. It's alive and kicking, but I won't be able to just do everyday check-ins because it doesn't make sense.
Got it. So companies that don't appreciate the sort of boundaries that you set for the contracting deal, because you're essentially a fractional, and fractional means you're not there all the time. Communication is time.
Can you just get rid of the fractional or whatever? Oh my God, I'm getting allergic to this. One of my former colleagues, he became a fractional CMO, and I was like, what the fuck does that even mean? So yeah, but yes, exactly.
Yeah, it is challenging. I would say another client type that is very challenging to deliver value to is the one that doesn't give you access. And so you're communicating through one point of contact, and you're not really able to go around that point to understand the internal challenges or the way things are set up. And then you have like these back channel ways of going to other people who are giving you a different picture of what this one person is doing. And you're like, this is impossible.
Yeah.
Like, either I'm looking as a totally outsider, but then why do you hire a consultant if you're not willing to give them access to see under the hood? Because I'm operating as anybody would outside of it. So those are absolutely impossible to deliver value to.
Yeah, it happens from time to time, but thing is, and the good thing about being your own boss is that you can say no, and you can say, you know what, guys, like this is not working, so let's pause.
Exactly. It's 1 month in, you say, okay, cool, guys, this is not really it. Call me when things change, and here's the end report. Next time, if you want to do it, like this is what needs to happen. And then, but the good thing about it is when something goes wrong, you know that when the next thing is coming along, you're saying this is how I like to work, and you wouldn't even imagine that somebody would not give you access to dashboards. By the way, I need access to dashboards to be able to help you improve your product.
Exactly.
It's like I can't look at SensorTower. It's like what's the point?
Yeah, it's like it's useful, but it's not really.
I can't see ROAS. I need to see LTV and customer acquisition costs. Like I'm not gonna do like SensorTower downloads and revenue. Like
exactly. Yeah, RPD, it's good, but
since you have the data, like just
Yeah, but like it's always very thin line between like what they can like what companies can share, but then it's exactly like you need to be able to just say this up front, and if you are, and then everybody's on the same page like that, then that's easy.
Yeah.
But it's not always easy.
Yeah, you talked a lot about, so now we're talking more about like how you approach your business, so clients, but the other thing that you talked about is like you hate goals, which is really interesting. Talk to me about that.
I know it's a very controversial topic because I was always told I need to have a goal to just progress and improve, and I just made something up just to get that goal and kind of progress. How is that like for me? It doesn't make sense because that kind of limits my point of view in the maybe short term versus long term, because then I make a decision based on the goal I have, and that decision might not be the best for me long term, but it's best for me to just short term just to meet the goal because there is some artificial goal I need to hit. So it's like for me, like I could say, oh my God, my goal for this year is to just increase my revenue by 20%. I mean, why would that be important? I mean, that's like, it's for me, the goals are not motivating or motivators. I can just work on different things without the goal and move forward and improve and progress. That's my way of thinking.
How do you know you're progressing if you don't have a goal?
Progressing in terms of my
Anything.
progression is always like
Let's
learning more or just
but
speaking
how?
to more people.
Well, I understand that's action.
Yeah.
But let's say we're talking about losing weight. This is a really simple thing. The summer is coming and you'd be like, I don't have a goal. I just want to lose weight. How do you know you've lost enough weight? That's what I'm basically asking. Like,
nice.
If let's make it simple. Like, when do you know?
Yeah, it's very simple. I don't. My goal for like going to the gym and weightlifting, it's not for like losing weight, just for me to kind of relax and do something else. But yes, of course, if there is a specific thing I need to do, which you said, like I want to just lose weight, that's a goal, and that's like I will do everything I want to achieve that goal because that's what I just said to myself. But I don't have these goals in my business. That's my kind of thing.
Interesting.
But I get that because of course, like if you want to lose weight, then you need to just adjust all the actions towards that goal to actually hit it. That's true.
I think let me approach it this way. So I'm not trying to convince you about goals. Let me approach the way I'm thinking about
you would
them.
fail. You would fail.
There's no. Let's put it this way. There's
no point.
There's no win condition to me if you use goals or not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
So I'm not like.
I'm
not your life coach. So let's put it this way. Like the way I see goals is I would put few goals that are for the year. And I put them next to my screen. And the reason being for that is they're not like increase something by 20%. They're more like something accomplishments.
But it's not measurable. Which is not even
the accomplishments are. Accomplishments are.
Okay,
let's say you put it this way. Rebrand. Super simple. Like one of the goals, I want to rebrand this year. And then there's other things that are like very achievable. They're not going to take the full year. They might take 1 month. But what happens is once you have those things, first of all, when you complete it, you can mark it off and it's good. The second one is because you have so many things going around, then once you start saying no to different things and yes to different things, you're like, wait a minute, what were my goals for this year that I wanted to achieve? And you'd be like, this shit is not in proximity, and if I take this on, this will be a new goal. And then you have to have like that sort of you can take that on. I'm not saying like you're locked to these things, but you have to think about it like, wait a minute, I wanted to achieve these. Do I still want to achieve these? Why should I add another one? Can I add another thing here that wasn't in my goal list, and so forth? So that's what I mean. It's more like things you want to accomplish this year, and a way for you to focus because we get tons of distraction all the time.
That's true, but then when you are distracted and let's call it, you don't achieve those goals. I mean, they were not exactly the priority for you. That's my opinion. And honestly, like, okay, let's call this as a goal. I want to spend as much time as possible with my daughter. could be a goal, but it's nothing. It's not measurable. I can't say like this year. It's like that's what I want to do.
Yeah,
is it a goal?
But yes, you can formulate it in a little bit of a more different way. Let's say I want to go to Disneyland with my daughter. I want to do this. I want to that. And there's
it's like one layer deeper in that. Like, that's the thing. But yeah, I just like I agree with what you're saying. But my way of thinking is, I really follow my gut feeling throughout the year and my life. And if I say I want to, I don't know, I want to go and to Disneyland at some point in the future. Well, that's the thing. Like I most probably will go there at some point when the time is right. Right now, it's not a priority. So, but I know what you mean.
So this is coming a little bit from I've done a little bit of a therapy, but they give this really good tool of like different things that are successful in your life. There's work that we over prioritize even without knowing. There's different relationships. There's love life. There's family. There's friendships and so forth, and yourself. And so you're constantly doing this basically self-audit based on how you feel. And you give yourself like 1 to 5. And that kind of shows you like, wait a minute, I'm skewing a little bit too much on the work. Let's pull it back a little bit. Let's put it here. I haven't gone on a date with my wife for a long time. So let me focus on. So it's more like a dashboard that you look at. Like, let me adjust a little bit. I'm too heavy on this one channel. So I need to invest more into this one. So, and nothing can be ever perfect. And the goals for me are more like reminders of different categories. Like, I don't even put them around only business. They're more like life, because as you said, work for us is not always work. It's just fun that we love to do. But it's really good to remind yourself that we might be spending I've spent so, like, I still get shit about like writing predictions during like December with family holidays and like ski cabins or Spain or wherever you are. I'm just waking up early in the morning and like looking at Excel files and writing about like future RPG category. Like, that's not sustainable. I'm not working.
I mean, well, yes and no.
Yeah.
And you would wake up anyway, I guess, and do something else maybe. But when everybody's sleeping, then what would you do? Just look outside the window? Kind of use the time efficiently.
Yeah, 100%. This podcast is brought to you by Data AI. Now, you're asking, didn't they get acquired by SensorTower? They did, and that's awesome. Here's why. Whether you loved using Data.ai or SensorTower, the combined company will offer customers even stronger and more detailed insights on the full digital customer journey. Exciting times lie ahead as SensorTower and Data AI join forces. Go to Data.ai or SensorTower.com and get on board with undeniably the best data partner in the business. Now, back to the episode. Okay, let me ask you this. So then, if you don't have goals, then how do you measure your success? And before I mention about success, I think one of the best quotes about success is by, he's a CEO of HackerOne. I know this person called Morten Mikus. His quote, I think, is the one that I love most. He says that if you are successful, you do whatever you like. If you're unsuccessful, you do what somebody else likes. It's that simple.
It's very simple.
How do you define success?
It's very simple. And I had this very similar discussion with my friend Fernando from Samsung at MAU this year, and we were talking about like my day. Like, okay, so I spend the time with my 70% of the day with my daughter. I work and then I write, and it's like, oh man, like that's the definition of success. And I was like, it's very close to what you just said as well. So I do whatever I like whenever I like, and from wherever I like as well. Like, we usually go to Santa Barbara for 2 months. I spent time there. We went to Bali for a month before our daughter was born. I was working from there and just spending time there. It's like, exactly, like you do whatever you like, and that's beautiful, because I mean, that makes me happy.
Would you be more happy that if you didn't have to, if you weren't working for clients, but you would be working for yourself full time? Because you said like you enjoy just writing, just sitting, just doing your media stuff. What if you would get the equal amount of compensation, but you would only do your own media? Would it be even happier?
The thing is, it's very combined, and one fills the other, because if I work, and when I work, I really enjoy like managing campaigns and everything. And then I kind of enjoy talking about it and writing about it. If I only write, I have nothing to write about. So like, doesn't make sense. That's why
you're just looking at the SensorTower lists and be like,
it's like maybe. And well, I kind of, when I was at Pixel Federation, I managed the team, let's say, partially for like 6 months, and then I didn't like work on the campaigns at all. And I just get back to just manage campaign. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I have no idea. Like, what? Like, everything changed. And since then, I was like, no way, I'm not doing this. It's like, no. If I want to be, like, if I want to talk about what I do, like, I really need to do it. I really need to do it, because then it's like, oh well, it's just empty words.
Got it. That's a great answer. So you're taking not even, but there's that work aspect as positivity. And I think what further fuels you is the fact that you get fired and hired on quarterly basis. Let's put it this way, maybe a little bit less than monthly, but on quarterly basis. And that creates that automatic fire in you that you can't just fuck off. Not like, oh, I'm not just going to do content because I'm here in Bali. It's like, no, you have to be doing it.
That's I think that's the part of what we touched, the like who's like good and bad kind of consultant. There's no day off, basically. Yeah, you just like you sign a company and you do the best from the day zero, and like that's never ending. Like people told me like, hey, we'll give you shares so you have the skin in the game, and I was like, man, like, first of all, like that you can give me shares, but that won't change anything, because the day we sign, like I will do everything I can to just add value, because as soon as I stop, like that's it. That's it. There's no day off. So like that's maybe just like my weird way of like motivating myself, but that's how it is.
What's a perfect day in Matej Lančaric life? Like, describe it. Just absolutely. You're in Santa Barbara. Give me like what happens.
It's perfect day. It's a wake up, and it's the day that let's call this today as a perfect day. Wake up, spend time with my daughter, then go to gym, then record a podcast, and after the podcast, get back to work. Well, before we start recording, I just did like few TikTok creative challenges briefs, so I still did some work before. After that, I will do some work on the campaigns. I have a few calls, and then I spend time with my family again. I have a business dinner with friends from Czech Republic. They just drove to Bratislava, so I will have that. Then I come back, and then either spend time with the family or just finish the article that I have already started on over the weekend. And that's it. I mean, it's that simple.
I'm smiling and kind of laughing because your perfect day, like, it had a lot of work in it. Like, if I would ask anybody, I would say 10 out of 10 would tell me about totally different type of a perfect day in their life. And it would not include working several occasions and doing a dinner for work.
Because it's the thing, it's that if you love what you do, like it's not work anymore. And if you want to really be the best, I'm not the best, but I'm definitely different, and that's what it's all about, I think. Then you need to have this passion, and you need to love what you do, because if you don't, then you're just not working in the best possible job that you can do. That's it.
Yeah. It wasn't a trick question. It was just
I know. Okay, fair.
So, what should I ask you more? This is fascinating, because a lot of the things, as I said before, like when I was reading your stuff, a lot of things resonated because they were too familiar, and I think like with everything. But I haven't gone as far in the solopreneur route. So here's the question. Actually, this is the question. So, why are you solopreneur and why are you not running an agency?
I get the question a lot, but I think the motivation behind that question is wrong. I like manage campaigns. I did lead teams before. I like that as well, but I like managing campaigns a little bit more. And that's like that simple. I'm not saying maybe in the future, because you never say never, and don't know what's gonna happen in a week or a month in gaming industry. But for me, this is just what I want to do. I want to spend time with campaigns, talk less to people, and
manage less people.
Manage less people, yeah, and just do deep work. Because, and every time I go to the conference, I'm absolutely thrilled and excited. And then on the day too, I was like, fuck, I just want to go home. Like, this is too much. Like, I just want to go home. Yeah. Like the day one, yes. Oh my God, great. Meeting people, talking to everybody. Great. Share learnings. And then on the day two, I wake up like, oh, okay, I'm too. I just want to go home and sit quietly in my room and just enjoy me time.
Okay, I love being like outside a lot.
Me
like it's
too,
cool
but
to get out like and get that family time and just like working from home and everything afterwards. But it's a fun thing that we do. We go to a conference or do these events where there's a lot of people and kind of like, and then we just focus and kind of at home writing like nerds in a basement. Yeah, just like a juxtaposition between the two.
It's a completely different world. I know. Like we talk about this with Jakub as well. Always like we just go to the conference like, oh my God, like this is just bizarre. It's actually bizarre. Like this is absolutely different from the normal life. I was like, yeah, but that's a part of part of the job.
Yeah, I would say like the best part is the removal of people management. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you're not working with others. You are. Yeah. You're working all the time with others. But there's an aspect of a lot of companies where the people management is almost like babysitting meets psychiatry.
Yeah, yeah. Like
which is not what people, the one-on-ones and
how are you feeling today? What can I like? It's absolutely important.
It's I don't think so. Here's the thing. I've been on this spectrum of like, yes, like in my first company that I worked at, we'd never had one-on-ones. That I went to a corporation, we had one-on-ones. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what's the point of this? And then I kind of became like, oh, of course you have to do one-on-ones because they're really important for you building a relationship. But you don't really build it. Anyways, and now I was at visiting Voodoo a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, and it was fascinating. I had to sit down with their head of games. By the way, it's a podcast that will drop sometime soon. But afterwards, we kind of ended up talking about like management. I don't think this is on the podcast, but I asked about like one-on-ones and some. Like, they had 700 people working at the company.
Yeah.
This guy tells me like I have 0 one-on-ones. I was like, excuse me, sir. He's like, listen, if you don't know what you need to do, you shouldn't be here. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I've never done one-on-ones before in both teams that I managed. Yeah. But then at some point, there was like, oh my God, one person from the team was like, yeah, well, we should have a one-on-one. I was like, okay. I don't do this because, if you need something, we always talk like on a daily basis anyway. So either it's you don't fit here or it's my time to leave. I don't know. But it's just, no, it's serious. Like, first of all, I hate one-on-ones, honestly. It's just waste time, in my opinion. So I try to limit as many of these like stand-ups and things to just bare minimum. And that's what I always did before. And now I don't need to do it because I work just with myself.
Yeah, and there's a big difference with saying like I hate one-on-ones. It doesn't mean that I hate talking to people or forming relationships. Exactly. Yeah. I love going to a lunch or dinner or hanging out or doing a workout together, bonding in a real way. Yeah, but sort of let's sit down and let's kind of talk about what you're doing and kind of how you're feeling. Yeah, it's like
it's really artificial. It's like it's nothing.
It's really and like we only have half an hour, so
exactly.
So you pretend that you care about this, and I pretend that I care about you, and then we'll go through this. Versus like having that good relationship with a person that you can form through lunches, through all kinds of casual interactions that you have in coffee breaks and walks and so forth, and then being super goal driven. We are doing this. We're doing this. Tell me like where this is going on, and just managing that person and really focusing on the goals rather than like, oh, how are you feeling this week? It's like how's everything going? It's like that. If there's a problem, come to your manager. how can I help you? You have challenges with this. All right, let's remove some of these tasks so you can focus on what's going on in your life right now. That's totally different. We're not talking about being cold. We're talking about if you're a manager and you're running 7, 8, 10 one-on-ones a week or every second week, well, you're losing work days.
Yeah.
And then that adds like a lot of confusion. And then suddenly you're in this totally different mode. So that is just adding context to our point against one-on-ones. It's not against people. It's not against caring people. We care a fuck ton about people and good relationships and making sure that they succeed. But artificial meetings is not the way to
go.
To build rapport with the people you report to, in our experience. So that's the way. But okay, so I wanted to, because we talked a lot about how you manage your time, your techniques of kind of having like different time slots for different things. So jumping in on like the lessons learned, because you've been doing this for a decade, and there's a lot of new consultants who want to make $1.5 million a year. So what is something that you wish you knew when you started this gentleman's business?
Yeah.
And would you do something differently? Let's put it this way.
Oh yeah, no way. No, the thing is, because if I did something differently, I wouldn't be in the position that I am at the moment. Just like anything else, I would, I don't know, resign later or sooner. It would not get me where I am at the moment. So I wouldn't really change anything, because everything was a learning experience. And I learned a lot about myself, about business, about people as well, like how different people can be assholes, but also there are nice people as well. So, and also how I need to communicate with people. All of these things I wouldn't change. It was tough, yes, but life is hard. Life is hard. So like, welcome to world, guys. So
not everybody's life is hard.
I mean, yes and no. It's hard in a different point of view, maybe, but it's quite tough. So I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't. Really.
Were there points where you were thinking about quitting and going back working for somebody?
No. Why?
Oh wow.
No. I mean, honestly, the thing is with consulting, and not even consulting, with basically everything, it's consistency. I mean, same thing, like we talked about going to the gym. You need to do the reps, right? So you need to do the reps on the consulting side, on the content, on the writing, on everything. It's just all about reps and a consistency. So I was like, I mean, this is hard, but, let's take a step back. Why is it hard? Then I was thinking about losing 50% of the revenue, like month over month, and then said, it's not that bad. I still make 10x more than half of the Slovakia, basically.
which again is not too much.
Yeah, it's not a lot, but still.
Not that Finland is like a more affluent country, to be honest. Like we're not. We're on the bottom of the barrel of EU.
Jokes aside. I mean, I always said, look, if I don't have a lot of work and I can still talk about stuff, so I just use the time more efficiently. I either spend time with the family or just write more or just whatever. I just never thought about just going back. I'm just, the thing is, I was talking to my wife about this, like, oh, well, what if like suddenly everything crashes? Like, well, what if maybe that can happen? But the thing is, like, even if that happens, and I hate this, but the flywheel that started like 8 years ago is still going, and it's not gonna be the same as 5 or 6 years ago. It's just I will keep going and moving forward. Like there's no step back. That's just like how I'm thinking about things.
That's really interesting. No plan Bs. Very Schwarzenegger approach.
But the thing, like, if you have a plan B, then you always kind of track back to plan B. And it's like, oh my God, and that's why I think like consultants now with like let's call it like a full, like not full time, but you're a consultant and you have a job somewhere else. That's a plan B. That's a plan B.
Depends on the job. Depends on the job. But
yes, depends on the job. But that's a cushion. It's like, if the consulting doesn't work, you can always track back to this like, let's call it a side plan or side hustle. Of course. Yeah. But it's like, then you give everything out of yourself and like everything that it takes to just move forward.
Interesting. And I totally understand that. I've never had that sort of a burn the boats attitude, to be honest. I've tried, but it's just not me. I like having options. And when I'm put into under one, like there's no more options, it's kind of like some people get more focused out of that. I get like kind of anxious, like, what do you mean I can't do anything else except this? It's Anyway, but it totally makes sense. I totally understand why you would do that. What would be your advice to somebody who just became a consultant?
Go out there and talk to people as much as you can. Honestly, like that was the best thing I could do early on. There was a time when I had 3 conferences in a week. So I was in London for like AppsFlyer event, then I flew to Malmo for Nordic, and then I flew to somewhere else to another event. Just talking to people and just getting to know them, like, because it's still a people business, and if you treat people nicely, they will treat nicely you afterwards as well. And if you're a fucking asshole, like everybody will remember that. So that's also very slippery slope. So again, people business definitely. It's just
and how about your own, like building your own personal brand, because you've built a brand that is unapologetically me. It is still a brand. It's a choice that you choose to become unapologetically you. It's a very easy thing to do, to be honest. It's like being you is nobody else can do better than being Matej Lančaric.
Exactly. The thing is, like, I never thought about like just building a brand. It just kind of happened. The thing is that I was always maybe too honest and too transparent in my previous jobs. Everybody said, you can't say this, you can't say, like, wait a second, like, what do you mean you can't say? It's just like honest feedback, constructive, maybe a little bit like outside of the borders that everybody was used to, but still it was constructive, like, and then I was like, okay, well, maybe it's something wrong with me. And then I started working as a consultant, and people were just actually saying, oh my God, we need this honest approach. We don't want sugarcoating. We just want to hear everything that's happening. Like, tell us the truth. And then that kind of was quite a good experience for me. So I was like, let's just be brutally honest.
Yeah, it is definitely more entertaining, let's put it that way, when somebody's authentic and you're reading their text, and it's not the sort of like a company publication. But you've gone pretty hard on the paint. Like the Scopely drama was silly.
Honestly, I had an opinion, and it's great when you can share the opinion. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. It was still an opinion, but like what kind of like drama it created? Oh my God, it was, and I wouldn't even like think about this. I was great.
Was it worth it?
Absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. Because there's still people on both sides of the spectrum, and
There's not. There's Matej Lančaric, and then there's everybody else. That doesn't
no. Honestly, that's not even true. But I was like, that's there, and it was absolutely entertaining, and it was so much fun. But like that's part of the I guess fun.
There's 3.5 men on the other side. There's you two and Joe Kim.
Wow, I would be surprised. You would be surprised.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
I know. Half joking.
That's why it's 3.5. So got it. So advice to the aspiring solopreneurs is just to go out. It's a tough thing to choose which conference you're going to go in, so do a lot of research probably in the beginning. Make sure you're speaking at these conferences, because that way is the best way to connect with people. Like I don't want to travel to anything where I'm not speaking, not just because I want to speak, but just because it's most effective way to be in front and then come out of the front, and then everybody comes to you to ask you about something or give you comment about what you said, and it's just efficiency thing.
It's efficient, but if you don't have anything to say, then just
that's also a problem. Well, you can always go on and say Monopoly Go is not making the money that Scopely is making.
Yeah, exactly. That will get you attention. That will definitely get you a lot of attention.
Okay. So looking ahead, you don't have any goals.
No.
What's going on with Gentlemen's and 2.5? Like, where's your focus? Like, what do you want to achieve? I know that most important thing to you is to raise a kind and beautiful and lovely daughter and have a good relationship with your wife and good family, maybe a couple of more kids.
No, that's not happening.
Only one?
Oh yeah, man. We wanted to have three,
What
but
kind
it's
of
only
a
one.
quitter is only one is like, what are
I
you
know.
doing?
You
Dude?
never say never. You never say never.
Yeah,
But
that doesn't like you half Slovakian population. It's not that big. For all the Americans listening, Slovakia is like the Arkansas of Europe, whereas Finland is like the North Dakota.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Not that far. Yeah, not that far. Yeah. fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. No, well, yeah. So that's kind of the future of work and kind of family relationships. And thing is, I just want to do things that I do at the moment. So, work with different companies, smaller or bigger, it doesn't matter in the future, like podcast, write, blog and stuff. Maybe I will just scale the newsletter a little bit more, and I might focus a little bit more on that side this year. I just because I started doing different things last year, and I was just checking the numbers, and last year this time I had 8 paid subscribers. Now I have 222. And it's kind of growing, so I just want to pay attention to that a little bit more. And yeah, that's basically it. Just do whatever I do at the moment.
Wait a minute. I have no idea about these newsletter business. Substack, right?
Yeah, Substack. Yeah. I publish.
I don't believe in Substack. I'll be honest. Because my point is there's so many good content creators.
Yeah.
And so in the beginning, subscription makes sense. But then if you're subscribing to so many, it's almost like they fooled us with oh, you don't need cable anymore, but now you need to subscribe to Disney, Netflix, HBO. So at some point there might be a reckoning. Anyways, but that's interesting.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking about at the moment.
Yeah, so doing more what you enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
That's awesome.
Yeah, love it. I love it.
Matej, floor is yours. Do you want to say something to the audience of Deconstructor of Fun?
I think you heard a lot of things already, so I don't want to keep you any longer. No, I think if you enjoyed, please let me know because there's still two groups or two sides of this coin. One is oh my god, this was super inspiring. The other one is, oh my god, this is bragging deep shit. It's terrible.
I don't know if you bragged on anything. I think you told about that you're a workaholic and you don't admit it.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, so
you have a problem.
I have a problem. I have a problem. Thank you very much for listening.
This is intervention.
Yeah, this is okay, fair. That's fair. If you want to reach out, please do. I'm on the DOF Slack channel. And see you next time.
Yeah, and Matej, I always recommend studios who don't have UA set up that you would be the consultant to talk to. So hopefully those leads have gone through. And to everybody, thank you for listening. This is a little bit of a different type of a podcast. We didn't talk about UA practically at all. We didn't talk about market or interest rates or anything. So let us know in the feedback below if you're using Spotify or just on our Slack channel how you like this. And on that note, hope that everybody who is either forced or embraced the solopreneur route is successful. It is a hard road, but enjoyable. When you get to when you get past the first steps of grind and you find where you're good at and what you enjoy doing, you have a lot of more control. But in the beginning, it's grind. In the middle, it's going to be grind, and in the end, it's going to be grind. So if you're not ready to grind or hunt for your own deals, then just go work for a company. That would be the takeaway from this conversation.
It is definitely grind.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening. Matej, always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.